Michigan State basketball, solid offseason so far. Is it enough to get them on the top tier of the Big Ten? I actually don't think so.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Spartans, your first listen every single day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below. Who is going to carry this team next year? Like, whose team is this Michigan State basketball squad? We get into that conversation and a whole lot more with our guy, Isaac Schade of Locked On College Basketball. We kick off the conversation with debating, where does Michigan State fit in the tiers of the Big Ten? Is it enough to be at the top? Are they down low? Guys, we're going to talk about that with, Isaac. So what am I doing? I'm wasting time. Let's get to it right now. Folks, I can't do this on my own, sort out all the tiers of Big Ten teams. No. We need a non-biased expert of the college basketball world. Yes, we're talking Isaac Schade, who hosts, what don't you host over here in the Locked On Podcast Network? You do Locked On College Basketball. You do Locked On Tar Heels. So being an accommodating host, as I usually am, or at least I try to be. Isaac, do you want to talk basketball, or do you want to keep talking about Jordan Hudson? What's your avenue these days? What's going to make you happy here?
Dude, I wish I literally just took it off. I recorded an episode. So this is blasphemous in Chapel Hill. She made a basket. So her name is spelled Jordon. Mm-hmm. She made a a North Carolina basketball jersey with 23 on it. Okay. Jordon. So I took my Michael Jordan jersey and crossed out the O on it. Anyway, it's the whole thing.
In solidarity. That's good. Good on you. Well, we'll probably circle back to that conversation topic, I'm sure, maybe at the end of this. I know you're just dying to talk as much Jordan Hudson as humanly possible, but there's more important things going on right now because we're just 6 months away from the college basketball season, Isaac. I mean, it's going to be knocking on our door before we even know it. The Champions Classic will tip off here, but before then, I'm just laying in bed staring at the ceiling wondering, what tier is Michigan State truly in when it comes to the Big Ten? Because first and foremost, I think Michigan State has had an overall positive offseason. Yes, you've had some departures. It sucks to say goodbye to Jase Richardson, Trey, but you've addressed some concerns. Shooting the basketball is one of them. You retained some top players. So without further ado, let me just rifle through all these, and you could just jump in if you're just heavily in disagreement with anything, or I'll just go through all these, and then you could add your expertise here, Isaac. But tier one, which is the hang the banner, make Final Four combinations for the Final Four if you're a fan of this team, it's Purdue. And the list ends there for tier one. Now, tier two is the maybe clear room for a Big Ten tournament banner, make Final Four hotel accommodations, but check the cancellation policy. This is where you have your Michigans, your Illinois, your Wisconsins, and hey, there they are, your Michigan State Spartans. I think they're a second-tier Big Ten team right now. And then you have tier three, should be good, but you got to prove that you can handle a travel-filled season. And that's where you have your Oregons, your USCs, your UCLAs. Really solid teams, especially UCLA on paper. I got to see it actually happen, though, at the college ranks here. And then tier four, the ULB annoying teams, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio State, and Maryland. And then if you were not listed here, I'm sorry, you're just on the fifth tier of get it right next year, guys. Good luck to the Rutgers and the Penn States of the world. But second tier for Michigan State, is that fair? Am I being too friendly, too harsh? I truly have no idea what a equal voice is going to say about this.
Look, Matt, here's the deal. We're doing an exercise. I've written it out. And so this is not me just saying, yes, I agree with you.
Okay, good.
But yes, I agree with you. And literally right here on my sheet where I tiered out the Big Ten, I have Michigan State in the second tier. Not too many points of disagreement or departure from you. Although, can we laugh about how massive our conferences are now that we're getting to tier five and just saying, sorry about you. Crazy.
Yeah, I just left off a third of the Big Ten. I didn't even mention that. A third. So I'm sorry, but that's just the way it goes.
And it shows us how quickly you can jump or fall in the transfer portal era, right? To think about Maryland's potential and everything they had last year. Struck a chord with me as you tier forward them, but it's probably true because when you lose a Derek Queen to the NBA, when you lose a Jacoby Gillespie to Tennessee, and you're not able to replace them with that same high level of capability, it's and the whole Kevin Willard mess, it's okay, there we go, right? am higher on UCLA than most people are. The travel schedule is a thing, but I actually have them in my tier 1 with Purdue. Now, I will, if we're having to be very nitpicky, yes, I would put Purdue by themselves, like either tier 1 and then UCLA's tier 2 or 1A and 1B. But Purdue, to me, is the clear front runner in the Big Ten this season. I'm right with you on that. My tier 2, I know while I'm higher on UCLA, I'm lower on Michigan than a lot of people. Okay. Which I know the Michigan State faithful
that
are not
plays here. That works on this show. That is called pandering to the audience. Yes, well done.
Now, the nice thing is I'm not even having to pander because I've been consistently saying that this offseason.
Right.
Now, I've also said, pending the Yaxel Lendeborg decision, they would fall even lower for me. But I'm lower even if they have him. And it's funny because Elliot Cadeau, who is going to be their point guard, is a Carolina guy. Yep. And so I tweeted something about how low I think Michigan's going to be, and his mom got all over me on Twitter. So there's that, which was kind of great. But my tier 2 is Michigan, Michigan State, Illinois, and Wisconsin. I think you had them both in tier 2. In Oregon, I'm a little bit higher on Oregon, but we'll see. I just really like Jackson Shellstad. If Nate Biddle is indeed back, that would be good stuff as well. And we could go on from there, whatever. The rest of it doesn't matter. We're here to talk Michigan State. Sure. But I have the Spartans solidly in tier 2 behind what I think is that just set apart Purdue. And for me, UCLA. And I recognize that I'm higher than others.
I know I'm trying to strike a balance here because on one hand, like I am overall positive with this offseason right now, but then I know that there are some teams, or not some teams, some fans that will take issue with me throwing them in the second tier, especially as reigning Big Ten champs by 3 games, which I have to remind everyone every single time I bring it up, Isaac. You know how it goes around here, but I don't know. Like I think both can be true. Like they did do solid work this offseason, but yeah, they're a little behind Purdue, who was a wagon. But what's your thought just on their offseason? Like, do you think Trey Fort's enough? Do you think Kaleb Glenn is enough? Or did you want a little bit more splash and pizzazz with the Spartans this offseason?
That's a great question. That was actually something I was processing, Matt. And truly, we talk about a lot now because the hard thing in the transfer portal is everybody wants the splash and the pizzazz. Right. I think if you were to go back and ask Kansas fans 2 off seasons ago, they would say, oh, baby, we landed Hunter Dickinson. We're so fat and happy, just to bring it back to the pandering to the Michigan State crowd. And I think if you talk to Kansas fans today, they would be like, get that dude out of Lawrence, Kansas yesterday, right? But he was the biggest, splashiest transfer guy. And a lot of times it is the more under the radar guys that end up being the most important. And so I'm constantly trying to evaluate fit and roster construction versus big names. Let's stick with a Big Ten transfer. Coleman Hawkins, due to supply and demand, was a massive name last year after pulling out of the draft. Dude, Kansas State sucked. They were bad. And we could see it coming, right? Like you can go back and check the tape. I said the second he committed there, that front court is not going to work with him and Ugana Onyenso coming over from Kentucky. And Achor, who, funny enough, also transferred from Samford. And so I say all that to say, Matt, like, I'm not concerned with big and splashy. I trace Samford a lot. I pay attention to them because my best friend is a professor there in their sports administration department. Okay. And so I've kind of been, in on Trey Fort. I like him. I think that'll be great. Love that their head coach Bucky McMillan's going to get a chance at the D1 level now, or at the high major level at A&M. And then Kaleb Glenn, Florida Atlantic, right? We've seen multiple guys from FAU, and I know he wasn't there, with Dusty May, but still, like, I think both of those guys are at least going to be solid. Like with Fort, 14.6 points a game last year. Even if he drops 4 points a game, he's still a double-digit scorer. And then like Cam Ward, I know he's not transferring in, but he's a newcomer. Right. And he's somebody that it's like, I don't expect him to come in and be a dude like in the Jase Richardson mold, but I think he's going to be a critically helpful part of this roster.
Yeah, and he plays with a mean streak to him too, so he's just going to fit this culture like to a T right as a freshman immediately off the bat, which is nice. So The weather is getting so nice outside, guys, and Wayfair wants to make these summer days even better. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, and that means it's a perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all, and at a price that's going to fit your budget. Guys, outside in our backyard, it's basic. Just a deck. That's all. But hey, with the exterior lighting, the string lights, which, you know, everyone seems to like now these days, add a nice ambiance to the backyard. And hey, you know, with some new cushions for our chairs in the backyard, Wayfair has helped spruce up our living space outdoors for the summer. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. It's Wayfair. Every style, every home. With all that added up, like, let's do this ridiculous exercise. Like, it's not lost with me how silly this may seem, but yeah, the tournament's 10 months away from now, but that's going to stop us from doing this little sauna dance right now. Like, the floor and the ceiling conversation, because I do go back to last offseason, and it was such a wide gap. It was like, whatever street the Empire State Building's on is the floor, and then the very tippity top was the ceiling, depending on how a bunch of things broke. Like, I said that this team could very well be hosting NIT games, or, you know, like, they could be a 4 seed in March Madness. Turns out it was actually a lot better than that. So thank you guys for even proving that wrong. But I think the floor and the ceiling are a little closer together now. Like, I see Michigan State bottoming out at like an 8 seed in the tournament, and I can see them working themselves up to like that 3 seed, maybe another Elite 8 run. And once you get there, Final Four certainly on the table. What do you think? Do you think the floor is a little lower than that? Saying that they have lost Jase Richardson, of course, threats like Holloman and Akins. Or are you kind of agreeing it's like a 8-3 range right now?
Also, for what it's worth, 34th Street is where the Empire.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You beat everyone that was going to comment that below. So well done. Well done.
These are the things that matter in our shows. Look, floor ceiling, when Tom Izzo is your head coach, the floor is always higher than a lot of other schools.
Sure. Right?
Like a lot of off seasons. Let's go back to the Kansas analogy, for example.
Yeah.
I will often say, like, I look at, if we're doing preseason rankings, I'll look at a team and say, the roster doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I believe in Bill Self, right? And I feel that way all the time about Tom Izzo. Mm-hmm. And so guys come and go, names change, whatever. I don't care who's there. When Tom Izzo's your coach, you've got a high floor. And that is a good thing to feel comfortable about going into every season. Yes, you know, you lose your top 3 scores, so there's a lot to replace. I recognize that. There are no remaining double-digit scores on this roster that scored double digits for Michigan State last year. But I think 8 feels honestly a little too low to me, Matt. Okay. And I wouldn't raise it that much more, but I think like 6 or 7 is probably the floor for me for Michigan State, which, right, like that's right in the same ballpark. And then ceiling for me, I said as I was processing through this, I said top 4 Big Ten. Because I just don't see right now who beats Purdue for the Big Ten regular season. I just like, right. But I think top 4 double bye in the Big Ten tournament, absolutely attainable. And second weekend, to me right now, and who, you know, that's a critical distinction, is the right now of college basketball offseason. Right now, this is ceiling second weekend team to me, right? Like whether that's Sweet 16 or Elite 8, whatever, fine. Yeah. Yes, things can always break the right way and you make a Final Four, but I think we often undersell like how crazy good it is to be one of the final 8 or 16 teams standing.
Certainly. Yeah.
Right? And so like to say the ceiling is second weekend is a great thing. I don't see that as a downturn at all. So that's where I would sit right now. Floor is a 6 or 7 seed. Ceiling is second weekend, top 4 Big Ten.
It's a blessing and a curse with both of our fan bases, you know, Spartans and Tar Heel fans alike, where it's like, yeah, second weekend. Oh, that's it. Like we're 90% of other programs would probably kill for that on like a somewhat regular basis. So yeah, hey, it's good shakes in this high-end neighborhood that we live in, Isaac. Look at us, man. Another thing that, you know, worries me as I'm staring off, you know, into the distance, you know, just as a perfectly healthy, well-adjusted adult male here. Whose team is it now? Because last year it started, okay, hey, Jaden Akins, this team's going to go as far as he goes. And then all of a sudden, hey, well, this young whippersnapper, Jase Richardson, no, he's got the keys now. We're going as far as he will take this team. But now, obviously, both guys are gone. Is it just easily to say Jeremy Fears, the starting point guard? I wonder if it's the new guy in the block here. And, hey, welcome in from Samford, young man. But Trey Fort, we're not expecting you, at least I'm not, to replace what Jace Richardson did, but can you at least make that margin small enough to where everyone else can also raise their floor a little bit? That's a lot of pressure to put on a young man from a mid to low major school, but man, he's going to be an important player next year. Or is it another returner like Kohler, Carr? I could be talking to any name right now, but right now, in the moment, I feel like it's got to be Fort. You got to show us something early on here next season.
Yeah. It's funny because kind of the roundabout that you just did, Matt, is exactly what I've done in my Michigan State mental gymnastics of I think what that leads us to realize is there's not a clear and definitive answer this offseason as there are in other times.
Just like how Tom Izzo likes it, probably. I mean,
yes, words right out of my mouth, right? But I think you said is Fears the easy answer, but the right answer? And for me, yes. Right. Mm-hmm. When I think about Tom Izzo teams that I just love and fell in love with and were great high level teams, it's the dude at the controls that's running it. Right. Like Mateen Cleaves, one of my favorite basketball players of all time in college basketball. And obviously for Michigan State fans, that's a reality because
like him.
Right. But when you think about somebody like him or like Cassius, right? Like it's just those are the teams that I think about. And it's like, oh, he had these extension of Izzo guys on the court that just did it at such a high level. And so you think about Jeremy Fears now coming into his junior year. He's an upperclassman. He's had these couple years with coach. And again, as we said, lose those top three scores. And so I think while Fort, it's going to be important for him, I think there's going to be a lot riding on not only the shoulders of Jeremy Fears, but also Jackson Kohler and Coen Carr as well. I think those are critical pieces. But for me, it's got to be Fears that kind of leads out in that. I need to see with Coen Carr this year, for example, more than just, I love you because you're my homie from the Atlanta area and you're an explosive athlete, right? It needs to grow and have consistency. I want to see Kohler just knock down shot after shot after shot and be all of that. But and Fort, as you said, I don't want to put that on him right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's unfair, right?
Right. As the season wears on, though, maybe so. But at least out of the gate, it's got to be Jeremy Fears.
Yeah, no, I love that. Especially, you're losing a lot of energy, too. And I know this is something you can't quantify in a box score, but you're losing a lot of energy with Trey Holloman, the captain, the guy that ruffled those feathers on senior night. And I'm not saying you got to go and you got to shove every opponent that you ever walk by on the court next year, but there's going to be a different heartbeat on this team. And it's only natural here at Michigan State, as it is at other places, that it just comes from your point guard here. Isaac, before we get you out of here and enjoying the rest of your week, I know that you just came from a lunch with Bubba Cunningham. You guys do this every Wednesday. Is he coming to East Lansing? Are we stealing your athletic director? What's going on there? Are you sweating over there?
What did you say? I can't.
Yeah, sorry. Bubba Cunningham is U-Haul in his driveway right now. Can you confirm that?
Yeah. Matthew, I think I texted you this when these rumors started. You've already taken my president from Carolina. Don't take my athletic director as well. No, it's funny. We heard those rumors, and then we kind of haven't heard much since then, or at least I haven't on the Carolina side of things. Right. You might have on the Michigan State side of things.
Not really.
I'll say this: Bubba Cunningham has been a phenomenal athletic director for Carolina. Comes obviously for Notre Dame background, is from the neck of the woods up there, not from East Lansing, but in that vicinity. South Bend's not too far away to the southwest. Am I thinking geographically correctly?
Yeah, you got it. Look at you. Yep.
And then he's from Flint, right? If I remember correctly, which is up northeast of East Lansing. And so it's all that proximity just makes a ton of sense. What I love about him is he's a guy that doesn't just celebrate football and basketball, the revenue sports. He is all in. Carolina has 28 varsity sports, and he is just as fervent about women's lacrosse, which is a wagon, speaking of, right now, as Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels. And so he's at all of that, man. And I love how passionate he is for his athletes, but I also love how forward looking he is. This is a guy that doesn't want to lose the healthy traditions of the past, wants to hold on to the good of that, but is also out on the front lines of looking at, okay, what is NIL? What is the portal now? And how do we do those things better? Right? Like, he's just very wise and thoughtful ahead of that. He's the guy, obviously, a lot of people probably know he was the chairman of the selection committee this year, and kind of faced a lot of backlash because Carolina made it in as the last school, right? I would encourage folks to go. He's a pretty regular guest on the Carolina Insider podcast, which is like the official North Carolina show. And I hate promoting another podcast, but that's the hosts of that show are Carolina's play-by-play guy, and they're one of their main art guys that puts out their articles. And Bubba was on with them just a week or so ago and really just talked like very transparently about that whole experience and how he went through it. And just he's phenomenal, Matt, like so good. And I would hate to lose him, but I would love it for you guys in the same breath, because I just think he's great. Right. And for him to be able to go home, like there's just something to that.
Yeah.
So I hope he doesn't leave, but if he's got to go somewhere, I get it. Go be with Kevin Guskowitz and go be home. I understand.
Come home, Bubba. Come on. Just do it, man. But no, Isaac, cannot thank you enough, my man. Guys, if you ever want more of Isaac, how could you not? Not only Locked on Tar Heels, if you need more of that in your life, but also Locked on College Basketball, doing fantastic work over there. Isaac, thanks a ton, man. And guys, Locked on Spartans listeners, we're going to be back here in a hot second. Got a mailbag question about Jase Richardson. Will he be returning? I'll spoil it. He won't. We're going to get more into that here, though, in a hot second. But Isaac, you're the best one, man.
Thanks, Matt.
And a massive thanks to Isaac, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And there's no one that I dislike, truly, in the Locked On Network family here. But it's guys like Isaac that I just put a special place in my heart with right there. I mean, he's some of the best people that we have here at the Locked On Podcast Network. So if you need more college basketball in your life, guys, like we've already said, Locked On College Basketball, go ahead and make that your second listen of the day. So as promised, let's talk a little bit about Jase Richardson right now, because earlier this week, our guy Jase Richardson, who measured at 6'3" on the program, and bare feet measures just a tick over 6 feet. And you know who's not going to like that? NBA execs. And there were a few people that commented, that sent us emails over at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. But we're going to pull out Jason's right here, because he wrote in the first NBA mock draft was just released, and it has Richardson outside of the top 20 due to a poor combine performance. Any chance he comes back, or is it too late? Now, first and foremost, no, it is not too late, actually. You do have until June 15th to withdraw your name, maintain your college eligibility. So, no, we've still got a good month here for Jase to make his decision. Now, with that said, when we've had this conversation right when he left into the NBA draft waters, I think I threw around 1% chance that he gets back. Guys, even with the measurements, I still am going to hum somewhere around there, 1%. I actually think the measurements kind of solidify that he will be staying in this draft, because he's not going to get taller just by coming back to Michigan State. Now, could he have a growth spurt in 1 year? It's happened before in the history of just human anatomy and science, but you're kind of banking on something that is far from a guarantee right there. So, I mean, yes, it does hurt his draft stock. He did also have this week one of the higher verticals amongst anyone in the NBA draft right now. So he's certainly not a dud of a player all of a sudden. It's just the NBA likes themselves some length, especially at that guard position. As a matter of fact, I went back and I just looked back at the previous NBA lotteries, and Davion Mitchell back in 2021 was the last guy that measured in at 6 feet to get picked in the lottery. So it's been 4 drafts since that's happened. So he could fall out of the lottery, but will he come back? To me, what's the benefit? Unless we're going to give him that ancient Chinese leg-breaking surgery that's going to make him grow 4 inches in the offseason, which I'd imagine the recovery period for that would bleed into the season. I don't think it happens, because that's really the only slight, or I guess the only massive slight against his game is his height. Yes, could he do a better job of going to the right side of the court? I guess, but everything around him, good enough to make him this lottery pick that I think he should be. As a biased Michigan State fan, of course, I'd pick him in the top 15. Heck, I'd pick him in the top 5. That's probably why I'm not an NBA executive and just a podcaster. But if he comes back, what is he going to really get better at? Last year, he shot 41% from three. The only thing you could do is go down from there. Like, that is an insane number to try to sustain in your sophomore year or try to get better at. It wasn't just 3-point shooting either, guys. He was 69%, a nice 69% at finishing at the rim. Can he possibly get better than that next season? Good enough to get him high into the lottery despite just being 6 feet? I don't think so. So this is a long-winded way. And it's a bummer. I don't like being a Debbie Downer right now. It's a long way of saying that, no, I don't really think there is a shot that he does come back. And let's say that, hey, you know what? He falls out of the lottery. Oh, man, that is such a financial hit to him, right? Not really, unfortunately. Like the rookie scale contracts, this is just a little bit of research I did. I could be wrong, but I think I'm at least somewhat close to the button here. If you fall into like the high teens, the low 20s in the NBA draft, you're still making about $2 to $3 million per year. And that's not to say there's not guys making that kind of money in college right now. Like we've just seen guys cash in like $4 million checks in the transfer portal, depending on who you believe and what you hear out there. But is Michigan State going to be one of these teams that offers $2 to $3 million for Jase to come back? It's possible, but it also takes Jase to agree to that sum to come back to college for one more year to not even grow his stock. So I'm sorry, guys. I want to be running this. I would love for the 1% to hit. I mean, we just saw the 1% hit with the Dallas Mavericks winning the lottery. Speaking of the draft, so who's to say it could happen? What's in it for Jase? What's in it for Jase? One more question here. Buzzword McGee writes in this one. This is a fun one. What are the top 3 basketball away arenas you want to see the Spartans in person? Now, he went Lahaina Civic Center, Xfinity Center over at Maryland, and then Fog Allen Fieldhouse down at Kansas. And then he went outside of the box here for this first one, an outside looking in selection, if you will. An aircraft carrier docked in Lake Michigan. Love that. There we go. I can only imagine. I'm not like a huge Naval Air Force historian here. I'd imagine that'd be very difficult to get an aircraft carrier to Lake Michigan, though. Hey, I'm on plenty of times on this show. But guys, I'm gonna do the same format here. I'm gonna go like neutral site, like cool away arena. I'm gonna go with the Big Ten venue, and then I'm gonna go with outside the Big Ten. Lahaina Civic Center is a lock for number one. I mean, I guess outside looking in for that is where they play the Bahamas Bonanza Classic, whatever they call that one, in Atlantis down at the Bahamas. I think that'd be cool to see like a ballroom game. Then right after, just go out to the casino that's right there in the hotel. That'd be fun. For the Big Ten venue, I'm going to go, maybe this is outside the box here, but I think catching a game at the Rack would be pretty cool. I mean, going to Illinois doesn't really fascinate me. I guess it would be cool to go to Indiana, but I don't know. I just want to see like what it'd be like in that small, quaint venue that is the Rack over in Piscataway. It's been a house of horrors for some teams, Michigan State included. I do wonder how it would be there. So the last one, it pains me to say this. I'm not going to go with Fog Allen. I'm not going to go with Pauley Pavilion or anything like that. This is a basic answer, and I hate myself for saying it, but yeah, I do want to go to Cameron Indoor one day just to see what it's like. The Cameron Crazies. I know that's such like a basic answer, and we're supposed to hate Duke and everything they stand for, but golly gee, does it look pretty cool down there. So that's what I'm going to go with for my third selection. All right, guys, you already know it's Locked On Spartans. We will be back tomorrow because we do this 5 days a week here, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you all again for making us your first listen of the day. Until we see you guys next, though, hey, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.